Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, and I wanted to take a second to talk to you about something that I think is very important. It is about the idea of black economic independence. Black economic independence does not mean that you don't trade and work with other people. What it means is that you have the ability to have some degree of significant self sustainability. That's both in your personal life as well as in your collective life as a community. African Americans really don't have much self sustainability for a couple of reasons. One, because much of the capital that runs corporations in America, the capital that you need to build businesses, the capital that you need to reach customers, a lot of that's owned by whites. Capital, you can think of it almost like a swimming pool. Imagine going swimming and you've got a neighbor who has a building filled with water. That's going to be the deepest pool imaginable. And imagine if you have no water at all and somebody just gives you a faucet. Well, you might be able to fill up a kiddie pool and swim in this much water, but really you need that deep water in order to have the deep capital to do what the major corporations in America do. Whether you're talking about GM and Ford, Universal Studios, IBM, Microsoft, stuff like that. A lot of those corporations have capital that black people do not have access to, so it's very difficult for us to build like an IBM or build a Ford Motor Company, etc. Unless we're very, very patient. And that's where I get into right now, real quick. I want to basically say that you were not put on this earth to spend your life dreaming about working for a white man. That's not what you're here for. Understand this is hundreds of years of brainwashing. Even HBCUs were created mostly by whites in order to convince and train black people to work for white people one day. A lot of us see working for the best white man as being a key to success, when the truth is that sometimes you might be signing up for a form of higher paid slavery. Remember, slavery does not mean you're not paid. Slavery means you have no options. And so, in a lot of cases, many of us, even us educated doctors, lawyers, and professors, end up in some form of high paid slavery because we don't have any options. And we end up very, very frustrated, very angry because you're going to work, you're dealing with racism, you got people mistreating you. It's a horrible feeling. You want to get out of that. And sometimes we make the slavery even worse by not saving our money, not investing our money, not creating alternative streams of income, not making sure we have proper education and training so we can go get other opportunities, not knowing how to build businesses. We further constrain ourselves in that scenario to the point where we don't have anywhere to go. Some you go in the office, somebody can call you a nigger, and you don't know what to do because you know you need that job, and you know if you ruffle feathers, you're going to get fired, you're going to be blackballed, you're going to be demoted, you're not going to get opportunities. So what do? We remain silent. When the situation calls for us to stand up, we sit our black asses right back down because we are so afraid of white people that we just don't know what to do. A lot of us are afraid of offending white people, even if it means telling the truth. We're afraid to tell the truth because the punishment for telling the truth as a black person is so severe. And the reason the punishment is so severe is because we don't have our own economic options. If you change that part of your life, I guarantee you racism will not bother you nearly as much as it does right now. A lot of us have to go into work in an environment that was created by somebody else for somebody else, and we get mad because somebody else is always getting everything that we deserve, getting the opportunities we deserve. Well, I always say that you can't move into somebody else's house and expect to move around the furniture. You're not going to be allowed to do that no matter how kind they are to you. That's still their house. They still make the final decision. You still can't pass that job down to your children. You still don't have any true equity in what you're doing. As they said on that show House of Cards on Netflix that I really like, some people mistake the proximity to power to actually wielding that power. So a lot of us think that because we're connected with the biggest white corporation on the block, that somehow that makes us a big shot, that somehow that makes us a better person. And in some ways, it might be an accomplishment. I'm not disrespecting those who've chosen to work for white corporations. I'm not saying that you're a bad person. But what I'm saying is, I think you deserve better than that. You deserve a life where you have something that you can pass to your kids, something that belongs to you, something that gives you true freedom. And the reason that these things elude us sometimes is for a couple reasons. One, because we have been trained to believe that whiteness is betterness. Whiteness is greatness. That blackness is second rate. That black is a lower brand of quality. That working for the black business is not as prestigious as working for the white company because the white company is well capitalized. They have the nice furniture in the building. They have the nice, the nice everything, the nicest equipment. And the black business is struggling along. The black business can't reach as many customers. The black business doesn't have as much economic power as the big white company. But what I'd say to people, and this is I share exactly what my process was when I was starting to build my own business. Was number one, a couple things. Number one, I had pride in owning something that was mine. I don't give a damn if it wasn't. I don't care if I'm making 2 pennies. Those are my 2 pennies. That's my business. I'm the boss up in this space. And I think that everybody, especially men who have to reclaim our manhood in America, you got to know the feeling of being a boss. Be a boss of something. Pick something and just say, I'm going to be a king in this castle right here. It don't matter if it's the smallest castle, because I have integrity, I have pride, I have dignity, and that makes me a strong human being. That makes me a special human being. It's easy to have pride when everything is given to you, but when that stuff is stripped away, people lose who they are. They lose their self-respect. They lose their identity. Don't let your oppressor ever control your identity. Never let an oppressor control your access to your own humanity. Never let your oppressor control your access to the economic resources that you need in order to feed your family. So, what I want to say is that it is basically very simple. Um, I'm tired of being scared of white people all the time. And there's nothing about hating white people or saying that all of them are bad. I'm not getting into all that. What I'm getting into is stop being scared. I see so many people. I'm talking about educated people, well-to-do people, very prominent black people who are so scared of white people that they will go and they will have a private conversation about racism and say one thing, and then when they get on TV or they get out here in public or they go to work, they say something totally different. I don't like that. Why do we have to live in a lie in order to make an oppressor, an abusive, sometimes savage oppressor feel comfortable oppressing us? And I'm not talking about everybody being savage, but when you're talking about the history in a country in which our people were lynched in public and they would bring their children to enjoy the lynching, that is savagery. That is sick. I don't care what you say about that. That's truly sick. So I'm tired of that. I'm tired of us feeling like we have to walk on pins and needles in order to avoid, upsetting whites or upsetting what we call mainstream America, which is really white America. I've been banned from television networks because I spoke so authentically and openly about blackness. I got banned from CNN for a year back in 2008, back when Obama was elected. A lot of Negroes got rich that year because that was when CNN interviewed a lot of black people about the presidency, because there was so many racial things happening. For an entire year, they didn't even call me because I was on a list of being banned because of some things that I had said about race. And I don't take any of that back. But I have Your Black World, so I'm able to communicate without asking my oppressor's permission. I don't have to water down what I say. I don't have to hold it back. I don't have to sell it with a grain of salt. I don't have to hide from the truth because I own something and I'm a part of something where I have the actual ability and the power to be a boss. And when I started to feel that, racism just really didn't bother me that much. I ain't worried about what white folks are doing. I ain't worried about what white folks got to say about me most of the time. The only time I worry about is if they're right. Now, if they say, "Boyce, you're a jerk. What you said was stupid," and what I said really was stupid, then I'll accept that criticism. But guess what? You can't destroy me. You can't punish me. You can't take me out in public and whip me and spank me and beat me down because I said something that was true but didn't fit with the agenda of my oppressor. That is a position that I'm very proud of, and I don't care if I don't have as much as some other people. I don't care if I ain't got as much money or as much fame or as much power as some other people. But you know what I got that you ain't got? I got my integrity. I have my manhood. I have my self-respect. My daughter can look at me and say, "My daddy's a man." My daddy ain't out here bowing to nobody. My daddy ain't out here yes sir and no sir and shucking and jiving for nobody. He ain't out here tap dancing in order to maintain a TV show that somebody gave him. He's not doing all that. He's not walking around as a scared black man. So what I encourage you to do is have the courage to be free. Another thing that really worked with me very, very well, and I want to share this with other people that want to get off this plantation, is I learned how to think long term. I started reading histories of some of the greatest corporations and organizations that have been built in America, and what I realized is this, and you got to keep this in mind. Many of the greatest things ever built in the history of the world, especially in the United States, were built over several generations. So what you think when you plant that little seed and you get something started, you might think that what you got ain't nothing. You might look at your little tree and be like, "Man, this thing ain't jack." I'm sitting next to sycamores and redwoods and all these massive trees that are so much bigger than me. But you gotta understand, those trees been growing for hundreds of years. Your tree was planted 2 weeks ago. It ain't gonna be as big as a sycamore. But you might have a sycamore in training. You water that little tree. You take pride in that tree. You deal with that little tree as if it's gonna be the biggest, baddest, thickest tree in the forest in 50, 70, 80 years from now. So what I encourage you to do is think about your life and say, where am I planting seeds for the next generation? What am I building right now that can give me and my family pride, that my children can grab onto and they can take it to the next level, and my grandkids can take it to the next level after that, and then maybe in 50 years, my family's balling with intergenerational wealth. That's what you got to be thinking about. So go ahead and plant that seed. And if you can't be an entrepreneur, there's no excuse. You should at least invest in an entrepreneur. Find some friends, form a club. Everybody pull up 2 grand. You got eight. If you got 4 people, that's $8,000. You got to start a business. If one person has the expertise, let them run the business. You just become an investor. The key is owning something, creating options for yourself, and it's not just about having money. It's about having freedom. It's about avoiding economic slavery. Remember, slavery does not mean that you're not paid. Slavery means you have no options. Don't be a slave. You're better than that. Your goal in life and your role in life is not to kowtow and get white people to like you enough to make you into a big man. I'm very rarely impressed with anybody who became rich and famous because they convinced white people to like them. That's easy. All you do is you just suck up and kiss up and say the right things and say what they want to hear, and you're gonna get all kinds of opportunities. You'll get TV shows, you'll get record deals, you'll get book deals, and all that. And what's sad about the black community to me right now is that 95% at least of our black celebrities, our most prominent black people, the ones you're looking at and looking up to because they're on the covers of magazines, most of those people exist because they were propped up by whites. Now, what kind of punk does that make us? How weak does that make us? Well, we are so pathetic that our greatest, most prominent black people are selected by whites. When they decide to flip that nigga off the stage, they're gonna replace him with another black face, and you're gonna worship him too because you're gonna say, "Oh my God, look at how much money he's got. Look at his TV show. It has 2 million viewers, and his book sold 80 million copies." And all of that's being controlled by some white man in the background, some white corporation, some corporation that does not belong to him, and he's the puppet, and somebody else is the puppet master. So when they get the puppet to say certain things and believe certain things and get you to worship him, then effectively they're controlling you, they're controlling your mind, they're controlling what you think. So if you want to know the types of black people I respect people like Louis Farrakhan, who built something of his own. I mean, of course, it was built over multiple generations. Honorable Elijah Muhammad got it started. I'm not saying that everything in the Nation of Islam says is perfect, or that I am in complete alignment with everything. That's not the issue. The issue is that they have power. They have economic power. When they get together, I sat in on a forum with the Nation of Islam. It was Farrakhan, myself, and about maybe 8 other economists, and they were talking about building things. They were talking about making major purchases of land and doing farming and setting up distribution systems to create economic prosperity for tens of thousands of people. They weren't talking about, ooh, maybe if I behave well, a white man will give me a TV show. Or maybe if I write a good book, I can get a white man to give me a book deal. Or if I make a good film, I can get some big white television network to buy my film. That's kind of what we're trained to do. That's how we're trained to think. And I'm not dissing people who have those things, but I'm going to say that to me is not that's not real power yet. That real power is when you really control the stage. It's not about being on the stage, it's about owning that stage. So no matter how small it is, take pride in what you got, and don't let anybody tell you different, because once again, you're not put on this earth to serve white people. That is not your job. You're here to serve your family. You're here to be the best person you can be. So that's all I want to say. By the way, we have a new film coming out called Resurrecting Black Wall Street, which tells the story of the Black Wall Street atrocity in 1921, which it was not the Tulsa race riots. It was a massacre. Never let anybody tell you it was a riot. It was a massacre where wealthy blacks had their wealth stolen by jealous whites in surrounding communities. And it's a story that needs to be told because there's unfinished business, and also it's a story that needs to spin into the next generation as we build Black Wall Streets all across the country. That's the next step. We're trying to implement some of this, and we can't do everything because we don't have the white man's money. We don't have the big corporate money yet, or any of that. But we do build one sale at a time. So when you purchase that DVD, believe me, I am putting black people to work when you purchase that product. So I appreciate your support. You can pre-order the DVD at resurrectingblackwallstreet.com. That's resurrectingblackwallstreet.com. And until we meet again, please stay strong, be blessed, and be educated. I am gone. Peace.